I should have known the second my younger brother Joel said, "Trust me." He already knew he was about to burn me worse than anyone ever had. The first red flag hit when Joel stopped answering my texts. Not ignoring, exactly. Just delays, evasive half-replies. Busy, big stuff brewing, talk soon. I tried not to spiral. He was my baby brother. The same stubborn kid who used to follow me around the backyard with a plastic hammer, insisting he was fixing the world. But a week after the loan closed, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Joel. From the bank. I stood in my kitchen, envelope torn open, skimming fast. My heart punched my ribs when I hit the words, "cosigner," and "delinquent payment." The counter dug into my hip. I steadied myself, rereading every damn line. Payment due, 45 days late. I hadn't even gotten a courtesy call from Joel. Not a heads up, not a sorry, nothing. I grabbed my phone, thumb stabbing his name. Straight to voicemail. When he finally called back, 2 hours later, his voice was breezy, fake smooth. "Hey Denise, sorry. Just a little cash flow hiccup. Totally normal in new businesses." I closed my eyes, feeling my blood start to simmer. "Joel, you said you had backup investors. You said this was airtight." He laughed. Actually laughed. "God, Denise, don't be so dramatic. It's fine. We'll be back on track next month." The click of the call ending felt like a slap. He didn't even ask if I was okay. Didn't even pretend to care about the risk to my credit. I sank into the kitchen chair, the old wood creaking under me. The teapot hissed behind me. Forgotten. Monica's voice floated up in my memory. Get everything in writing. Always. Except I hadn't. Not really. Just one stupid cosigner form, one handshake, one tight hug in the parking lot after he swore up and down, "We're a team, sis." I was so damn sure family meant something. That loyalty actually counted. Now my name was on the hook for a $450,000 loan. And Joel was playing entrepreneur on my credit. I wiped my hands on my jeans and grabbed my laptop. If he thought I was just going to sit there and take it, he didn't know me at all. Next move. Find out exactly how much trouble he was in. Because one thing about growing up poor, you learn how to track a dollar better than a bloodhound. I met Monica at a dingy diner off 12th Street, the kind of place where the booths were always sticky and the coffee always burnt. She slid into the seat across from me, dropping her purse with a thud. "No small talk?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. I shook my head. "Pull everything you can. I want to know exactly what Joel did and what he thinks he got away with." Monica pulled out her tablet, screen already glowing. "I did some digging last night," she said, tapping fast. "Joel didn't just open a business account. He filed a new LLC without your name on it." I stared at her, my stomach turning. "Without me?" She nodded, grim. "And he transferred the building lease into it too. Guess whose credit helped seal that lease?" I gripped the edge of the table. The lease was in both our names. "He can't just—" "He did," Monica said, voice flat. "And it gets worse." She swiped to a new screen and showed me. Joel had taken out a second short-term loan. High interest. Balloon payments. All while pretending to be a one-man show. Every thump of my heart felt heavier, like my chest was filling with wet cement. "You co-signed the big loan," Monica continued. "But this second one? He signed that alone. And defaulting on it could sink the first." I sat back, the cracked vinyl digging into my shoulders. My brother hadn't just screwed up. He had built a bomb and strapped it directly to my future. The waitress came by, refilled my coffee without asking. I barely noticed. My mouth was dry as paper. Monica leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "You want my advice? Start preparing a lien." I blinked at her. "A lien? On my own brother?" She didn't blink. "Denise, this isn't personal anymore. It's survival." I looked down at my coffee, the surface rippling as my hand shook. A lien meant reclaiming assets. It meant moving against Joel legally, like he was just another crooked developer. Not my little brother, but Joel had made his choice, and now I had to make mine. I pulled out my phone, snapped a photo of the building's public deed info Monica had pulled up. If he thought he could use my name to build his dream, and then cut me out, he was about to learn just how much I knew about taking it all back. The next morning, I parked 2 blocks away from Joel's bar. I didn't want him spotting my car. The street was dead quiet except for a few pigeons fighting over a sandwich crust. A neon open sign buzzed weakly in the window. If it was trying to look alive, it wasn't fooling anybody. I tugged my jacket tighter and crossed the street. The closer I got, the worse it looked. Cracked windows, peeling paint. A handwritten sign taped to the door. Back in 10 minutes. I cupped my hands against the glass. Inside, chairs were stacked on tables. The bar stools were empty. One of them tilted sideways like it had given up. I stepped back, heart hammering. This wasn't a grand opening. This was a slow-motion funeral. Pulling my phone out, I snapped a few photos. Monica would want evidence. If foreclosure hit, pictures mattered. Behind me, a rusted pickup coughed to a stop. Joel jumped out, wearing yesterday's clothes and 3 days of stubble. "Denise!" he called. Arms wide like this was a family reunion instead of a crime scene. "What are you doing here?" I forced a tight smile. "Checking out my investment." He laughed too loud, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's just a rough patch. You know how it is. New businesses always look ugly before they make it big." I nodded slowly, like I was buying it, like I was still the fool he thought I was. "Sure, Joel," I said. "But rough patches don't usually come with unpaid taxes, do they?" His smile cracked for half a second, then he covered it with a shrug. "Paperwork's behind. No big deal." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You falsified the business documents. You signed my name for the loan. You left me out of the operating agreement." Joel's face drained of color. He looked around, as if the cracked sidewalks might offer an escape hatch. "I can fix it," he said quickly. "I'll get you your cut once we turn a profit. I just need more time." I stared at him for a long, cold minute. "Time's the one thing you just ran out of, Joel." I turned and walked away before he could spit out another excuse. My hand slipped into my pocket, fingers brushing the copy of the LIEN paperwork Monica had prepared. It wasn't filed yet, but it would be soon. Real soon. That night, I spread every document out across my kitchen table. Bank letters, cosigner agreements, property tax notices, emails Monica had dug up, including one from Joel to Travis Green. I leaned in, reading it again under the harsh light of the overhead lamp. She'll never even know. She trusts me too much. My hands curled into fists before I could stop them. The betrayal wasn't just reckless. It was deliberate, planned. I shoved back from the table, the chair scraping hard across the floor. It didn't matter why he did it. What mattered was making damn sure he didn't get away with it. At 8:14 p.m. I called Monica. She picked up on the second ring. "Tell me you're ready," she said without preamble. "I'm ready." My voice came out low, steady. "File the lien, first thing tomorrow." She didn't ask if I was sure. Monica knew better. She just said, "Copy that. I'll text you when it's in." After we hung up, I poured myself a whiskey. Neat. No ice. The burn was good. It reminded me that I was still standing. Outside, a storm rolled in, rain slicing sideways against the windows. Fitting. Joel's whole world was about to get washed clean off the map. I didn't sleep much that night. Dreams kept jerking me awake. Half memories, half warnings. Joel at 5 years old, running up the driveway with a broken kite. Joel at 25, drunk dialing me after a bad breakup, crying into the phone. Joel at 35, forging my signature and gambling with my life. By sunrise, my decision felt even clearer. This wasn't about family anymore. It was about survival. Mine. At 7:06 a.m., my phone buzzed. Monica. Filed. Recorded. Clocks ticking. I exhaled slow, feeling a weight shift off my chest. Step 1. Complete. Now Joel couldn't sell. Couldn't refinance. Couldn't do a damn thing without going through me. I stood by the window, watching the clouds break open to a sliver of blue sky. Today was the day Joel Carter found out the hard way. I wasn't the sister he could walk over anymore. I was the woman holding the deed to his damn dreams. The Carter family cookout was already a circus by the time I pulled up. Smoke rolled off the grills. Kids screamed around folding tables piled with paper plates and dollar store decorations. I killed the engine and sat for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. This would be the last time I played the good daughter. The last time I swallowed betrayal with a smile. When I stepped onto the grass, heads turned. I hadn't RSVP'd. I didn't need to. Joel was holding court by the keg, a plastic cup dangling from 2 fingers. He spotted me and froze for half a second, then pasted on a grin so wide it looked painful. "Denise," he hollered, waving me over. "Come get a drink. We're celebrating." I walked slow, letting the air fill with tension, letting him sweat. "Celebrating what exactly?" I asked when I reached him. Before Joel could stammer something, Aunt Loretta waddled over, a plate of ribs in one hand and a Bud Light in the other. She beamed at me. "Our boy here," she crowed. "Joel finally owns that whole downtown building, all on his own. Big man now." The world tilted sideways for a moment. The building. The one under LIEN. The one still legally chained to my signature. I forced a smile. Played dumb. "That right? Whole building, huh?" Joel chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his neck. "Well, paperwork's complicated. Denise helped me get started. Real family stuff." Aunt Loretta clucked her tongue. "Don't be modest, baby. You're a full-fledged owner now." I took a slow sip of lemonade. Let the sweetness sit on my tongue before I spit fire. I pulled the folded lien notice from my back pocket, unfolded it slow like a magician revealing a trick, held it up right between Joel's face and Aunt Loretta's proud smile. "Actually," I said, voice clear and sharp enough to cut through the music, "Joel doesn't own squat without settling this first." Loretta leaned in, squinting at the paper. Joel went dead white. Someone turned the music down. The air sucked out of the backyard like a popped balloon. "What's that?" Aunt Loretta asked, blinking. "A lien," I said sweetly. "Filed yesterday. On the property Joel thinks he owns." Joel's cup slipped from his fingers, thudding onto the grass. I tucked the paper back into my jacket and smiled. "Congratulations, little brother. Looks like you've got yourself a real family investment now." Joel chased me around the side of the house, his sneakers sliding in the wet grass. "Denise, wait," he hissed. "You can't do this." I turned slow, letting him see every ounce of fury on my face. "I already did." He glanced around, making sure no one was close enough to hear. His voice dropped to a frantic whisper. "You're gonna tank everything. Travis will pull out. The loan sharks will freak." Ah, there it was. The real reason for the panic. Not family. Not loyalty. Money. I crossed my arms. "You should have thought about that before you signed my name and shut me out." Joel raked a hand through his greasy hair. I needed full control. Investors don't like silent partners. "It was just business, Denny." He said it like it should make me understand. Like betrayal tasted better if you called it something else. I leaned in close enough to smell the cheap beer on his breath. "You used my name, my credit, my money, without me. You're not just broke, you're screwed." Joel opened his mouth, probably to sling some half-baked apology, but a new voice cut in. Travis Green. All 6 feet 4 inches of him, looming over us in a sharp gray suit that didn't belong anywhere near a backyard barbecue. "You want to explain this to me, Joel?" Travis said, voice like gravel. He held a phone in one hand. The screen showed a photo. The lien document. Joel stumbled back a step, color draining from his face. I was handling it," he stammered. Travis didn't even blink. "Handling it? You mean hiding it?" I stood silent, arms folded, letting Joel drown in the mess he built. Travis turned his icy glare on me. "You filed this?" I nodded once. Calm, unbothered, professional, he grunted. "Smart." Then he jabbed a finger at Joel's chest. "You told me the building was clean. You said your sister was just a background investor." Joel opened and closed his mouth like a dying fish. No words came out. Travis shook his head slow. "Pulling my money. Today. You're done." He turned and stalked away, already tapping on his phone. Probably calling the rest of the investors. The ones who would be scrambling to cut their losses, now that Joel's dream had a foreclosure notice stapled to its forehead. Joel sagged against the side of the house, looking like a man who'd finally realized he'd built his empire on wet sand. And the tide was already coming in. By Monday morning, my phone was blowing up. Blocked numbers. Unknown numbers. Desperate voicemails, one after another. Joel. Travis. 2 other names I didn't recognize but guessed were silent partners, trying to claw back their investments. I didn't answer any of them, didn't even listen to the full messages. I just let the ringer hum like background music while I sipped my coffee. At 9:12 a.m., Monica called. I answered on the first ring. "Showtime," she said. "Bank posted notice of default on the bar property." I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of the last few weeks finally shift. "How long before the foreclosure clock runs out?" 60 days, Monica said. "But with his investors bailing, he'll be underwater by next week." She sounded almost gleeful. "You played this clean, Denise. Not a crack in sight." I almost smiled. Almost. But the anger still burned too deep to feel anything sweet yet. After we hung up, I opened Joel's public business filings. One by one, I watched his licenses and permits start slipping into pending or suspended status. He was bleeding out in real time. At noon, I drove downtown and parked across the street from the bar. A for lease sign was already taped to the window. Fastest eviction notice I'd ever seen. I stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed, watching the slow death of Joel's big dream. Cars passed. A city bus groaned to a stop nearby. Life rolled on, uncaring. The door creaked open, and Joel stumbled out. His face was gray, his clothes wrinkled, like he hadn't slept in days. When he spotted me, he broke into a shambling half-run across the street. "Denise," he gasped, breathless. "You have to help me." I said nothing. Let him flail. Let him feel the cold, empty space between us now. He dropped to the curb, sitting like his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. "I'll sign over part ownership," he said, voice cracking. 50%. Hell, 60, whatever you want. Just don't let them take it. I knelt down so we were eye to eye, lowered my voice to a whisper. "You had your chance to make me a partner, Joel. You chose thief instead." I stood, brushing imaginary dust off my jeans. "Now you're just another name on the foreclosure docket." Joel buried his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. But I didn't stay to watch him break. I had bigger plans than pity. I drove straight from the bar to Monica's office. No music, no distractions, just the low, steady hum of righteous anger boiling in my chest. Her office door was cracked open. She waved me in without looking up from her laptop. "You ready for the last nail?" she asked. I dropped into the chair across from her. Ready as hell. She slid a packet across the desk. Neat, precise, deadly. "Foreclosure petition. Your lien priority puts you first in line," she said, tapping the top page. "You'll own the building free and clear once the sale finalizes. Joel? He gets nothing." I stared down at the papers, at my name listed as petitioner, at Joel's name in bold under debtor, the final betrayal, in black and white, but also the final justice. I signed every page without hesitation, pen-scratching paper with a sound that felt like shackles breaking. Monica grinned. "I'll walk this straight to filing. 45 days from now, that property's yours." I exhaled slow, steady. "No loopholes? None that matter," she said, flipping through the packet. Joel would need a miracle. Cash buyer, full debt payoff, and clearance on the outstanding taxes. "And if he tries to pull anything cute," Monica's grin widened, "I'll slap him with a deficiency judgment so fast he won't even have time to fake an apology." I stood up, heart hammering but steady now. Good. Let him drown in the debt he built. The city outside the office window looked different, sharper, clearer, like a map that finally made sense. I wasn't rescuing anyone this time. I wasn't patching leaks with my bare hands. I was stepping onto solid ground I had fought tooth and nail to claim. On my way out, my phone buzzed again. Joel's number. For the 5th time that morning, I let it go to voicemail. Let him stew. Let him feel the silence he deserved. Back at home, I poured a cup of black coffee and stood by the window. Watched the early evening roll in over the rooftops. Watched people hurrying home to lives I no longer envied. I wasn't somebody's safety net anymore. I wasn't a name for someone else to cash in on. In 45 days, I would hold the keys, not just to a building, but to my own damn future. And when Joel finally realized it, when he showed up with another plea or another lie, he'd find the doors locked tight. This time, I wasn't letting him in. Not ever again. The first trick came 3 days later. A letter stuffed into my mailbox, no stamp, no postmark. Hand-delivered. I recognized Joel's messy scrawl on the envelope. Almost didn't open it, almost tossed it straight into the trash. But curiosity won. And so did caution. Inside was a sloppy, half-threat, half-plea. A homemade contract, scribbled on blank printer paper, stating that Joel had verbal ownership rights, and that, quote, family agreements supersede financial liens. I actually laughed out loud. It was so stupid it almost hurt. Nice try, little brother. But a handshake and a sob story don't erase public records. Still, I forwarded a photo of it to Monica just to be safe. She texted back 2 words. Nice souvenir. By noon, Joel's desperation went public. He started posting on Facebook rants about betrayal and greedy family and snakes in the grass. He didn't name me outright, didn't have the guts, but anyone with half a brain could connect the dots. Friends from high school started messaging me, some cautiously, some outright nosy. What's going on with you and Joel? I ignored all of it, didn't defend myself, didn't explain. Because the truth didn't need an audience. The courthouse records would tell the real story soon enough. One night, Monica called again, voice tight with amusement. You're not gonna believe this, she said. He tried to file a quitclaim deed transferring the building to himself. I burst out laughing. He can't do that. I hold the lien. Exactly, Monica said. The county clerk flagged it so fast it didn't even leave the inbox. Joel was scrambling, throwing Hail Marys into the void. And every single one was crashing down, harder than the last. I leaned against the kitchen counter, feeling the cold marble under my palms. For the first time in weeks, the knot in my chest started to loosen. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about setting the record straight, permanently. I wasn't the bitter sister, wasn't the jealous co-signer, wasn't the naive idiot who kept saving everyone else at her own expense. I was the rightful owner, and I had the damn paperwork to prove it. I stared at Joel's crumpled letter one last time, then dropped it into the shredder, watching it chew through every last lie he had tried to sell me. The foreclosure notice went live on the county website 2 weeks later. Official, undeniable, public. I was in the middle of reviewing tenant applications when Monica called, barely able to hide the smile in her voice. You're officially listed as the primary creditor, she said. Congrats, boss lady. I closed my laptop and leaned back, letting the moment sink in. This wasn't a plan anymore. It was reality. Joel, of course, didn't take it lying down. He organized a, quote, Save Our Bar event, handmade flyers stapled to telephone poles, a Facebook event page begging for, quote, community support against unfair foreclosure practices. It would have been sad if it weren't so damn hilarious. He even called the local news. Some rookie reporter agreed to meet him outside the bar for quote 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 quote. Monica found out about it first. Of course she did. Nothing in this town stayed secret for long. You should go, she said. Show up. Stay quiet. Let the truth do the work. I almost said no. Almost stayed above it. But then I thought about that email Joel sent to Travis. She'll never even know. Oh, I knew. And he was about to know that I wasn't hiding either. So that Saturday, I parked across the street again, sunglasses on, arms crossed. Watched Joel pacing the sidewalk in front of the bar, gesturing wildly to the reporter. I built this place for the community, he said, voice raised for the camera. I sacrificed everything. Now some greedy creditors trying to steal it all out from under me. The reporter nodded, scribbling notes. Camera guy panned slowly across the sad, sagging bar sign. I waited until Joel started his next emotional rant, talking about betrayal and family and second chances. Then I stepped forward. The reporter's head snapped up. The camera swung toward me. Joel's face froze mid-sob. Excuse me, I said, voice calm, crisp. I'm the creditor. Silence. Beautiful, heavy silence. I pulled out a copy of the foreclosure filing from my purse, held it up neatly for the camera. This is the legal notice. Public record. Feel free to fact-check it. The reporter blinked, stunned. Joel turned a shade of gray I didn't know skin could reach. I'm not stealing anything, I continued. I'm enforcing my rights after months of unpaid debt and forged signatures. I smiled. Small but sharp. You know. Real community spirit. By Monday morning, the clip had gone viral, at least locally, shared on neighborhood Facebook groups, posted on Nextdoor with headlines like, Foreclosure Drama, Brother versus Sister. People ate it up. They loved a scandal with just enough dirt, And just enough justice. My phone buzzed nonstop. Old coworkers, high school friends I hadn't heard from in years. Even my old landlord texted, "Girl, you are a legend." Joel, meanwhile, was radioactive. Investors cut ties. Vendors canceled contracts. The few bartenders who stuck around walked out when their paychecks bounced. Within 3 days, Joel had boarded up the bar windows. Within 5, a bright orange notice of sale sticker appeared on the front door. I thought that would be the end of it. Joel slinking off into some dark corner to lick his wounds. But then came the real twist. An email. From Travis Green. Subject line, proposal. I opened it slowly, expecting threats. But it wasn't. It was an offer. He wanted to buy the building. From me. After the foreclosure finalized. Cash offer. Above market value. No contingencies. The email was short, direct, and not even a little apologetic. Just business. The same way Joel had once claimed it was. I forwarded it to Monica. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. "You holding a champagne glass yet?" she said, laughing. "Because you should be." I wasn't. Not yet. Because something about it gnawed at me. Selling would mean quick money. Clean break. No more Joel. No more ties to this damn mess. But keeping it, meant real power. Long-term income. Real ownership. Something no one could take or rewrite or lie about. I stood by the window, phone pressed to my ear, staring at the distant skyline. "I'm thinking about holding on to it," I said slowly. Monica whistled low. "Big move. Big responsibility." "Yeah," I said, voice tightening. "But this time, it's mine." Silence stretched between us. Not awkward. Solid. Respectful. "Whatever you choose," Monica said finally. "You earned it. Every damn inch." I hung up and stared at the email again. At the dangling carrot. At the easy out. Then I closed it without replying. Deleted it. Some victories you don't sell off like yesterday's junk. Some victories you build on. One damn brick at a time. The foreclosure auction came and went like a whisper. No bidding wars. No dramatic final offers. Only one person filed the right paperwork, paid the right fees, and signed the right documents. Me. 45 days after filing, I walked into the county recorder's office and picked up the title deed with my name on it. Not Joel's. Not ours. Just mine. Denise Carter, sole owner. I tucked the folder under my arm and stepped back into the crisp fall air. For the first time in months, I breathed easy. But the universe wasn't going to let Joel go quietly. Of course not. 2 days later, he showed up at my office. No call. No appointment. Just barged in like a storm that couldn't take the hint. My assistant buzzed me, panicked. Denise? Your brother's here. He says it's urgent." I glanced at the polished glass door where his reflection hovered. Slouched. Defeated. Still scheming, though. Always scheming. "Send him in," I said. Voice calm. Hands steady. Joel shuffled in, wearing the same wrinkled jacket I'd seen him in weeks ago. Eyes bloodshot. Skin pale under the fluorescent lights. "Denise," he croaked, "you don't have to do this. We can work something out." I leaned back in my chair, lacing my fingers together on the desk. "You mean after you cut me out? After you forged my signature? After you tanked every chance you had?" He winced. But I didn't let him speak. Not yet. I pulled a set of keys from the desk drawer, tossed them onto the glass surface between us with a hard clink. "These are for the bar. You've got until Friday to remove any personal belongings. After that, it's mine. Fully. Legally." Joel's face twisted, somewhere between rage and heartbreak. But mostly rage. "You're just gonna let me lose everything?" he said, voice cracking. "Over what? Some stupid business mistake?" I stood up, slow and deliberate, walked around the desk until we were toe-to-toe, close enough he could see just how done I was. "It wasn't the business, Joel," I said, voice dropping low. "It was the betrayal." He opened his mouth again. I raised one hand, palm out. "Save it." I pointed at the door. "You chose your path the minute you decided I was expendable. Now I'm choosing mine." Joel hesitated, then finally turned and walked out. Shoulders slumped. Defeated. Gone. And this time, I didn't feel a damn thing. The next week, I walked into the bar, not as a visitor, not as a lender, but as the owner. The air was stale, smelled like spilled beer, broken promises, and desperation. The kind of place people forgot faster than they regretted walking in. I set down my tote bag on the warped counter and pulled out a yellow legal pad. Task list already scribbled top to bottom. Cleanup, renovations, new tenant search, new start. By noon, a crew I hired rolled in. Hard hats, tool belts, work gloves. Real professionals. No half-assed dreams. No borrowed time. I watched them tear out the cracked tile Joel had bragged about installing himself. Watched them haul away the sagging booths, the broken bar stools, the dead neon signs. Each crash of wood into the dumpster felt like a baptism, scrubbing his failure off my future. Outside, a few curious faces peered through the windows. Locals, old customers, maybe old enemies. Didn't matter. I wasn't building this for them. I was building it for me. By Friday, the place was gutted. Clean bones, fresh air, possibility. That afternoon, a young woman in a sharp blazer met me outside. Her name was Lila Ramirez. She ran a fast-growing restaurant chain specializing in upscale soul food. I heard the space was opening up, she said, smiling easy but sharp. I'm looking to lease. Maybe long-term, if we fit. We shook hands firmly. Respect. No pity. No family discounts. As she toured the space, her eyes lit up with ideas. I could see it happening already. Tables full, music low, laughing customers. A future that had nothing to do with betrayal or broken promises. When we finished, she turned to me, grinning. I'm ready to sign a preliminary lease, she said. Place has good bones, good energy. I laughed, feeling something warm rise up in my chest for the first time in months. Maybe longer. Yeah, I said, meaning it. It finally does. We set a date to finalize the paperwork. She drove off, taillights disappearing down the newly paved street. I stayed a while longer, standing in the center of the empty space. The late afternoon sun poured through the windows, throwing golden beams across the fresh concrete. No ghosts, no guilt, just light, just opportunity. I took a slow, deep breath. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was rebirth. And when Joel inevitably came crawling back to beg, to bargain, to blame, he wouldn't find the sister he once knew. He'd find the woman who owned everything he lost.